And as Chad said, I'm with CAMAplan, self-directed IRAs. How many people in here have accounts with us now? Okay, good. Is it working all right so far? You don't know? We don't have your money yet. Well, when we get it, we'll let you know. Maybe. So let's go over some of the questions and answers. One of the first things I want to tell you is everything today you've got to take with a grain of salt. And as you'll know, I tell you, test or you know, trust and verify, etc. Go ahead and do that with us. This is for educational purposes. My attorney makes me say this, but ask the questions as we go through and we'll get to them. One of the questions we had is, should you do something inside your IRA or outside your IRA? Right? How many people in here own property right now? Okay. How many people in here do their own tax returns? About 3 or 4 of you. How many people in here that don't do your own tax returns or do them understand depreciation? Get you some money back, right? All right, so everybody says, well, I don't get depreciation in an IRA. I can show you how to do that if you borrow money, and you will be able to get it. But just because you get depreciation, it's a gift for a little while, because you do have to pay it back when you sell it. But the second thing that you have to ask yourself is, it really doesn't matter what entity or what investment you're putting your IRA into, right? Because you're always looking for what gives you the best return, whether it's a widget, whether it's a stock, whether it's real estate. So don't get hung up on, you know, whether depreciation is there. If you don't get depreciation and you're getting a 16% return, is that a good idea to have it in there? Yeah? Yeah? I mean, you know, so forget about exactly what the investment is. Look for the rate of return, and that's what's going to help you understand what you want to put into your IRA. If you can get a piece of real estate that gives you 15% return without any depreciation, it's a good deal. Okay. If you can get a stock that gives you 7% return without depreciation, or a piece of real estate that's going to give you a 15% return without depreciation, which one would you put in there? Real estate. Okay. All right, so you guys kind of got that thought process. It doesn't really matter whether or not you get depreciation and some of those things, but we'll go through a couple of the examples here, right? One of the things in an IRA or outside an IRA is a tax-free or tax-deferred account. How many people in here know the difference between a Roth and a traditional? Really, that's all? How many people made money on me in one of my presentations? Nobody in here? All right, who wants to make money? Okay. If I have a $20 bill, I'll sell it for 15. Does anybody want it? Give me 15. First guy's got 15 gets the 20 if I got it.
I got a credit card.
I have it right here. I got it.
You have it? No, I wish I had a 20. Anybody got a $20 bill? I don't want to kid. Here's 10, 15. There's a 20. Here's a 20 for you. All right, so here's a 20. Hang on, she got it. Okay. Is that a good deal? Hang on. You hold on to your money right there. How much is that? Are you happy, Linda?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. How much is this? 15? I'll tell you what. Take that 15 back. I'm going to sell this 15 for 10. Will you take that?
Yes, sir.
Is that a good deal?
Yes, sir.
Congratulate these guys, will you? That's a, how much money would you do? How many times would you do this?
As many times as you want.
What? All day?
Infinite.
How much money do you have, right? So you do this all day long, right? You excited about it?
Sure.
Okay. Well, this is exactly what Uncle Sam does to you. Right? Here's what he says. You put $20 in. Oh, wait a minute. No. The limit for a traditional IRA is $5,000, right? Because if you put $100,000 in and you're at the 25% tax bracket like Linda was, right? Because she got 15 for 20. right? You'd get $20,000 back on your taxes from the government for putting $100,000 into your IRA. But they put a limit on there for $5,000, right? So poor Linda's only going to get $1,250 back, right? And Jim, Alan's going to get, right, because he's in the 33% bracket, he's going to get, right, 33% of 5,000. Well, you're over 50, are you?
Yes.
There you go, so 6,000, so he's going to get around 18,000, right, or $1,800 back off of his taxes. And that's what they do with the traditional IRAs, right? You get that money and you put it in there. Why does the government do that? Why? Encourage you to save, yeah, that's their big heart, open heart, right? They love that, right?
They get more in the end.
They get more in the end, right? What happens if you don't save for your retirement?
They have to take care of it.
Who's taking care of you? Your kids? There's mine back there. He can't take care of himself. No. Right? So they're encouraging you because some people will save and some will not. So they say, if you save, we're going to do this, and we want you to save because we don't want to take care of you in your retirement age. This other guy, Roth, and there's actually somebody here, I don't see her right now, but her name's actually Roth, and I asked her if she was related to the senator that started the Roth IRAs. The Roth IRAs, you don't get this break. Linda puts $20 in, Alan puts $20 in, they don't get any money back from them. Zero. Nothing. Right? But guess what? When they retire, they get to take all of their money back. Right? In the Roth IRA. Every bit of money it makes, so if you took that $20 and you turned it into $200,000, you turned 59.5, you said, let me have it, you'd put $200,000 into your pocket. Right? If you were like Alan and Linda and you took the money up front because the government is so benevolent and you turn that $20 into $200,000, how much is the government going to take from you, Linda, when you turn 59.5?
Tax bracket I'm in.
The tax bracket you're in. Who's in control of that tax bracket? You? Oh, the government is, right? The same guys that can take it, right? So they can actually change the deal going forward, too. You guys understand that?
Yep.
Yep.
How do they change that?
Legislation laws.
Yeah, they go in there and they make some laws. Have they ever gone, has there been 1 year ever since this country's been alive and been established that they haven't made a new law? Yeah? Can't we just say 1 year, all right, we're not making any new laws, let's just work on the ones we got? Right? But, say it again? Yeah, so you understand the difference between the Roth. The Roth, you get to take your money out, you get all of it, everything that it earns, but you don't get a break when you start off with it. The traditional, you get the break, but in the end you have a partner. For having that break, you've teamed up with Uncle Sam. So you want to pay attention to those things. So that's what I mean on the first one here. If you have a tax-free or tax-deferred account, it makes a difference. If you're going to have a commercial building and you think that building's going to appreciate because it's in downtown Bmore, as the locals call it, or Philly or wherever, and it's going to keep appreciating, you may want it in a tax-free Roth versus a tax-deferred account, because how many people know what the top tax rate was in the last 50 years?
50 years? 75?
Yeah, the highest.
75.
90. 90. Was it 90 when Kennedy was in? Yeah, 90%. Kennedy got it down to 70. Reagan dropped it to 28. It's at 35 today. So just think about it. I mean, you know, there's other little quirks that go around with that and how much it was and, you know, what the dollar's really worth today. But, you know, for round numbers, that's where we are. Right? So then the other one you want to have is, do you want to leverage your money? How many people bought their house for cash? One guy? Okay. How many people haven't paid off? Okay, a few of you. Okay. So you guys understand the value of leveraging? Right? You can put a little bit of money in. There were some nice examples out on the floor yesterday evening, where I think Blue Star Realty had them out there on Eager and Edge. They were talking about some similar projects out there. Some of those, you leverage because you brought in, you know, I forget what it was, 80% of it was financed. Somebody put in $26,000, they made $14,000 on 26, even after they paid the absorbent hard money lending. So if you make 28% or 53%, whatever those numbers are, that's a pretty good return, right? And you're doing that basically using leverage, right? So you want to look at that. You want to look at appreciation. You want to look at depreciation now, right, versus later. Because here's the other one. People say, well, I don't get any depreciation in my IRA property. Okay, well, so let's say you bought a property now for $100,000 and in 20 years it was worth $1 million, or 30 years, whatever it is, and you're 59 and a half or 69 and a half. You really want depreciation? Pull it out, put it in your name. If it's in a Roth IRA, you don't have any tax liability, so you take it out of there, you put it into your name, and now you can start taking depreciation. But you start taking depreciation on $1 million. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you have that capability if you want to do that. So, think about it, and we'll go through a couple of examples here. But these are the things to think about if you want to do stuff in your IRA or if you want to do them outside of your IRA. But again, you go back to what's the best investment. How many people like the stock market in here over real estate? Nobody, really. How many people know somebody likes the stock market over real estate better? Okay, I know. My broker. Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, some people are good at it, I'm not, but that's it, right? And some other people were talking, passing stuff to heirs. Like is it Joe? Tim. If you have an IRA, whoever you put on as that beneficiary, and if you're in one of those limited partnerships, they automatically get those shares in that limited partnership. And it's, because your beneficiary overrides your will and things like that. So that's an important point. When you guys are filling out your forms and opening up IRAs, the beneficiaries that are on those IRAs take precedent over your will and your other documents. All right. So let's go through an example here. This one, Kate opened up an account with us. She put in $3,000. She found a property. How much is it worth? $200,000. She wanted to put a contract on it for us. She filled out the paperwork. We took the $3,000, put it down as down money. She had zero in her account. She sent her inspector out there. Inspector offered her $250,000 for the property. Good deal?
Yeah.
Would you take it? Sure. She thought about it, right? And she says, okay, let's do it, right? She had, I think, like 180 days to close on the place, so they were going to do a simultaneous close, right? Sell it one thing. So the attorneys got involved in it, and they ended up saying, let's just assign it over to her. Everybody's in agreement with it. So they signed it over to her in a few months. Her IRA put in $50,000, or got $53,000, right? Because of the $3 she put down plus the $50 she made. So now her Roth IRA has $53,000. Is that a good deal? Yep. Would you like to have that in your IRA, or would you like to have it yourself, outside of your IRA? How many people would like it in their IRA? Okay, about half. How many people would like it outside their IRA? About another third. What do the other people want? You don't want that deal? It's not any good? Okay, thanks for helping. Let's go and look at it, right? Kate knows this, right? She put in $3,000. She made $50,000. And what is that? 6,667%, right? You can't tell anybody that. So, I mean, but accountants made me put it up there. I just did it kind of quick, but they, at the 16,000 versus the 6,000. But because we did it in 3 months, you got to multiply it times 4, so that's why it comes up to 6,000. But you can't use either one of those numbers at a party, right? You're not going down in here and telling somebody you made 16,000. I mean, Alan last night says, yeah, I made 16.8% on it, and he was kind of shrugging around. He comes back, he says, no, I really made 31, because you don't want, you don't want to tell people too much, because it doesn't sound right. People have no idea that you can make this money, except other people that are in real estate, right? So there's 6,000%. Do they care about that? How many people in here said they wanted outside their IRA? Okay. Do any of you work or have a job? You do? let's just assume you're like Kate, right? She's in the 40% bracket. She would have had to pay $20,000 in tax on that because that's short-term capital gains, right? Which is ordinary income. So you still want it, right? So your 50,000 got down to 30. Hell yeah, you still want it. It's okay. You made 30,000. It's not a bad deal. You know, don't let me influence you. You know, it's your deal. You're making decisions. When I say self-directed, we don't give any advice, right? You're making all the decisions, right? And if you were in the 30% bracket, you would have paid 15,000 in taxes, or you would have paid 7,000 in the 15% bracket, right? If you're in the IRA, how much do you pay?
None.
0. If you're in a Roth IRA, when will you pay it?
Never.
If you're in a traditional IRA, when will you pay tax? When you pull it out at that point in time, right? How much will you pay? We don't know. We don't know yet, right? So there's a little bit of that. So that's one of the examples there. Anybody ever see that example before? I'm not reproducing stuff? Okay. These are real deals, by the way. Here's a guy, Joe. His real name isn't Joe. He didn't even like it because it is his deal. And he says, somebody knows me and knows I do this, that they'll know it's me. So I had to change the name. But Joe opened up an account. He buys a lot of sheriff's sale stuff. He put $100,000 into it. He found the property, bought it for $76,000. He put another, what, $4,000 into it or something. What's he got in there, $80,000? And what'd he sell it for? 155. He put 80 in and sold for 155. Right? How much did he make? Down in the bottom corner there. 55,000. Good deal? Yeah. Good for your IRA? Good for you outside your IRA? He does some in and some out. Right? What's his rate of return? This is what we're looking at, right? His stinks, right? Kate's was much better.
It don't stink.
Well, compared to Kate, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. All right. So that's his rate of return. There's 22,000, 16,000. These are real numbers. This is what you know, right? You guys got to feel this a little bit because April 18th was only a couple days ago, right? So you know what we're talking about. Better in your IRA, outside your IRA.
Inside.
You guys got to think about it and see what, you know, if you need the money, you got to pay for a kid going to school or your daughter's getting married or something like that. You might, you know, this might be one you do outside of it. On Kate's deal, she wanted to do that in her kid's educational savings account, right? Because she was in her 40s or late 40s. She had another, you know, 15 years before she was going to be turned 59 and a half. But in her educational savings account at University of Pennsylvania, she could have taken that money and paid tuition, right? She did in her Roth IRA, taking care of herself, which is still good, right? Because now you're not a burden on your kids. But she could have taken that money next year, the year after she made it, and paid for tuition for her kids. But she didn't think about that, and of course she was looking for a new deal to do that with. Right, so here's just, you know, to finish up on this, it's just an example, $1 million building. This, dang it, man, I get the, is that it there? All right. The Roth building's on this side, the regular building's on this side, right? Both owners are 60 years old, only because they can pull the money out at that point in time, just to keep the variables as close to it. They're making $100,000 a year, right? Is that about right? If you have $1 million building, shouldn't you make about $100,000 a year? How much are you guys making on your deals here in Baltimore? If you pay $100,000 for it, how much are you making that year? Don't you guys know? About 10 grand? About 8 to 10. Okay. So there, I mean, we're not far off, right? Right, so there you go with the 100,000. It could be 80,000. I don't care. Depreciation is 0 over here. Depreciation over here is 30,000. Right. Tax over here is 30% on the 70,000. Right. The 100,000 minus 37. So you pay 21,000 in taxes. How much you pay in your Roth IRA? Nothing, right? So the owner takes out $100,000 at the end of the year. This guy ends up with $79,000 at the end of the year. Is depreciation great? What?
Not there.
Doesn't help. If you're not paying taxes, do you care about depreciation?
If you're not paying taxes.
If you're not paying taxes in the Roth, you shouldn't care, right? So it doesn't matter, right? This is a lot better return. It's even a better return than he's getting over here. You know, and if your property's making money, it's there. And not only that, if you're like me, your depreciation just keeps going down for some reason every year, even though you do straight line. I don't understand it, you know. Okay, let me go on to the next stuff. If you guys got any questions on this stuff, let me know, right? These are the profit areas. I think Chad goes over this stuff with you a lot, right? You understand this from where you're going with it, right? Net operating expenses, income minus expenses, principal reduction. A lot of people, when they're figuring their rate of return and they've got it leveraged, right, or a mortgage on it, they don't take how much they're paying down, right? Alan told me, oh yeah, no, I mean, you know, last night we were talking, he says, no, we're breaking even. And he says, but no, I got people in there and I got all my money out, or, you know, the majority of my money out, and they're making my mortgage, and, you know, and my equity is going down, or, you know, or going up. So it's, you know, a pretty good deal, right? So that's what you want to think about, right? If you've got a job and you've got W-2 income, you might get a tax reduction due to depreciation, right? If it's not in your IRA, you got to think about that, right? And then you have appreciation. I don't ever measure appreciation until I get it, right? So I always do it a year afterwards because I don't ever want it. That's gravy on the cake. And somehow I found, like, you know, the 95 corridor is pretty good with appreciation. And I'm not familiar with the West Coast, but if you're on the west side of 95, it's not as good as if you're on the east side of 95. You know, I mean, Reading, Pennsylvania, to me, has great cash flow. Pittsburgh has great cash flow, but their appreciation is minimal. Anybody here from Reading? Properties there? Yeah.
You're right. No, you're right. I got a bunch there.
Yeah. So, I mean, but the cash flow is good, you know, so, I mean, and that's what you're looking at. But if the cash flow is, you know, 10%, you know, who needs appreciation? Because a lot of times the cash flow is not as good in places that appreciate. And then you can do all this other stuff. These are just different ways of measuring those tools. So let's just kind of talk about Baltimore, because this is the area they're there. The net operating income that we're talking about on properties here, what are we looking at? Didn't you say like 8 to 10? Right? So we're in here, we're in the range of 6 to 12, right? What about principal reduction? We don't know. Some people, I saw some examples out there where people put in all cash, and I saw some where they used some. So I don't know how to figure out principal reduction, and I don't know how to pull out, right, tax reduction due to depreciation, because you know, everybody's at a different tax rate. What's appreciation here?
10%.
Here?
No. Don't go by that there.
Yeah, but I mean, in Baltimore, what's the appreciation per year? Anybody know? Hadn't been much lately? What's it been over the past 10 years, you know? Has it gone down in value here? Yeah? How much?
20%.
20% over the last 3 or 4 years? I'll tell you, that's not bad. My property in Florida went down another 17% last year.
Maryland's
Okay.
a little cushion because of the federal presence.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and my properties are down like 2/3, 67% over the last 3 years. Some of them, right? And I'm close to A1A on some of those too. But it has some other factors that are there, losing some federal presence, as a matter of fact. So does anybody have an idea what appreciation is here, or what they expect in the next couple of years? 2%, 1%, staying the same?
Well, there's places in Virginia getting 2, 3, and 4%. So
Okay.
how far could it be from that?
Probably not too far. Okay, well, I mean, so, but if you add that, if you say up here, we're getting an 8 or a 10%, right, there, and you're getting a 1 or a 2, you add that in there, and then you do this, right? So in this real estate stuff, you shouldn't be getting into any deals that you're not making over 10%, right? That's just this point, just kind of trying to tell you that it's easy to get 10% in real estate deals. If you're not getting a 10% return, don't do it. Right? You're in this stuff for investing. You're not speculators. You want to make money on your money, right? Get into it where it's making 10 or better percent, I would say, and look at those numbers based on what they're teaching. All right, here's another question. How many people have asked me about disqualified people and parties? Who's disqualified? Who can join into these deals? Who can come into it? And I guess I didn't explain myself well in a couple of the other presentations. You can't buy a property from your IRA, nor can you sell one of your properties to your IRA. This is you in the middle right there. Okay? You can't sell it to your spouse or her IRA or your parents or your kids. And for all you guys that are smart,
3 wives?
all 3 wives, if you're still married. Do you live in Utah too? Right, business entities own 50% or more, or that have controlling interest by any of these people. Okay, so that's kind of a simple view of this, right? You can't do it to their kids or parents. They call that lineal ascendants and descendants. Now, your brothers and sisters, your nieces and nephews, your aunts and uncles do not belong to your family. Your mom might say they do, but they don't, as far as the IRS is concerned. All right. This is a couple more, right? This is based on members of the family. This is corporations, who is and who isn't on there. If you're a highly compensated employee, this is different trusts, right? So you can read this stuff. It's in section 4975. These are people you can't deal with. Okay, and sometimes when you make an LLC or a partnership, to go into that as a partner, it's okay, but once you're a partner now, they become a disqualified person. So always check with your accountant or your legal counsel on whether or not that, because just because they weren't at one point, they may become a disqualified person at another. Now, I'll give you another example of that. We had a young lady who lent money to a guy for a car. 2.5 years later, they're getting married, and they said, well, what about this? I said, well, once you're married now, that loan for that car out of your IRA will be disqualified. So they said, well, what do we do? We still want to get married. I said, well, you have to pay the loan off before you get married. Right? So, I mean, there's other things that can happen along the way that will change people's status. Disqualified peoples and parties, right, can't receive a current benefit from your IRA or your 401k investment. This isn't written in the rules and regulations in the IRS. It's just basically out there as a general rule. If you're getting a benefit from it now, it's most likely illegal. Okay, you guys can read the other ones here. It's pretty clear. And I'll give this to Chad. You guys want a copy of this presentation or not?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, I'll give it to Chad and Scott, and they can email it to you or make sure we have your. Are you guys all on our email list or not?
No.
No. If you want to get on our list for insights and newsletters, give me your card and we'll put you on that. Okay, it's free.
Carl doesn't email as much as us.
IRS rules and regulations, right? Selling, exchanging, these types of deals, right? You can't do it. You can't lend money. You can't furnish goods. Your kid's construction company can't rehab your IRA property. Okay? Here's what the IRS says, right? For everybody who's going to trust and verify me. Right in publication 590, this is what you cannot invest in. Government never tells you what you can invest in, only what you can. So this is what you can't invest in. Right. Now I'm going to go into here and I'm going to talk about health savings accounts too. And some of you are going to come up with the old alcohol as a medicine theory. It doesn't matter. It doesn't work when you're doing that. You can't go to the bar and order a Rob Roy or a Manhattan and say, yeah, it's for there. My mom would like that a lot. But it doesn't work. All right. All right, second thing was people said to me, I don't have enough money in my IRA to really buy these properties. What do I do? I said, I don't know, you know, I mean, you can partner with somebody else, right? You can join and go into them as tenants in common. I have $25,000, the property's $100,000. You know, you can get somebody else to lend you $25,000, or maybe go in partners with you at tenants in common or somebody else's IRA, and then you can go get a loan for the other $50,000. You can join a limited partnership with your $20,000 or $25,000. You can borrow from 2 or 3 or 4 people that make a limited partnership. There's all kinds of different avenues out there. How many people in here would like to make 8% on their money? Would you take a first mortgage on a place at 70% loan to value here in Baltimore that you liked? You would? And you would not loan the money out at 7-8%? Where's Dick? See here, Van Gys?
Right over.
Dick Van Gys, you mind if I use your example? Dick bought a property down here. He's got $90,000 into it. It appraises at $130,000. He's getting $1,400 in rent at 7% interest payment. He's probably, you know, with taxes and insurance, he's probably going to be paying maybe $800 a month. So he's got $700 or $600 extra that month, right? And that's to you at 7 or 8%. North American Savings Bank said to him, we can't lend you this money. Supposedly, I haven't talked to him, he just told me this about an hour ago. And he said, North American said I didn't pay enough for my property. Yeah. And this is a good bank.
That's a first.
Right? And, you know, I mean, and they sent me the email. I haven't seen it, but, you know, I'm taking them at their word. But, you know, right there is a guy that is going to a bank, has all his ducks in a row, has the appraisal, has the renter, and is looking for a 65% loan to value and would pay 7% interest. Right? So if you have that money, you don't even have to do it, right? But you can sit there and you can just hope that Dick doesn't pay you. Right? Don't pay me. Right? Wayne Kerr can draw up the paperwork. He can draw up the note and the mortgage, just like a bank does. He can record it. And when Dick doesn't pay him, what are you going to get? You're going to get the property. You're going to get a $130,000 property for $85,000 or $90,000, whatever he's got into it. And it's got a renter in it, and you didn't have to do any of the walking around or any of the refurb. You didn't have to do anything. The rent just comes to you. And as soon as he doesn't pay you, and while you're waiting for foreclosure, Wayne will give you an assignment of rent. So all you do is you say, hey, Dick hasn't been paying me, or Dick's IRA hasn't been paying me. All your rent's now going to come to me. Right? Talk to your attorneys on that stuff, but that's how it works. You know, that's what the banks do. That's what you do as a mini bank. So all you people that are out there making 1% on your money or less, because anybody got any CDs in here? God bless you, man. Is it an old one, or is it one you just got? Or can you talk? I mean, if you don't want to say, if you don't want to say, you know.
I don't even think it gets 1%.
Yeah. It's just hard money working for you every day, boy. Run. You know. So, you know what I mean? Think about it, right? This is another option for you to do with that stuff. Now you've got a CD that's based on a hard piece of property. And what happens when people are paying you on an amortized chart? Is your risk going up or down every year?
It's going down.
Why is it going down?
Just because
The equity's getting built up in it, right? They're paying you interest plus principal, right? So if you lend them $90,000 at the end of the year, right, you only owe them maybe $85,000 or $88,000, right? So, but they still have that exact property sitting there. I mean, I just foreclosed on a loan that was 7 years old. It was $90,000, and it got down to like $50,000, and the guy gave me the keys back. You know, to the house. Well, it wasn't his fault. I mean, he lost his job, and, you know, he couldn't pay the house, and, you know, I let him stay in there a year, which I shouldn't have, but, you know, that's where we're going with that. So, right, so when you're looking at this stuff, right, as lenders, this is what lenders want. You got attorneys and accountants here that can help you with it, right? Guaranteed good return. What's a guaranteed return? Is there any guaranteed returns? Well, ask Enron, right? Right? Some people want stuff close to home. Some people want to work with trustworthy people and professionals, right? Want to help others. Some people are real into the green. Some people want stuff easy to understand. I mean, isn't a mortgage on a house pretty easy to understand? I mean, isn't the bank, you know, because with your CD back there, that bank takes your money in, right? They pay you your 0.5%, and then they loan it out at 5%, right? I mean, that's what they're doing. So if you just, it's your money, right? So if you lend your money out and bypass the bank, you can get the 6 or 7 or 8%, whatever, you know, people are willing to pay, right? And you can do it. And you can make those short-term loans too, right? Adjustable rate mortgages, right? 5 years, you know. Let's just see how it goes in 5 years and you know, pay me the principal. It's a balloon note. So does this make sense to you guys? Am I helping people out that didn't know what to do with little bits of money? You can lend some, you can partner up with somebody else, lend it, you can fix it. Why would someone lend me money? Why would people lend money to you today? Dick?
The asset.
Huh?
The asset.
The asset's good, right? You got some security there. Right? Why else?
You don't have to do
Because-
work here.
What? It's a higher return. I mean, you know, they had to hold their head down in shame. They were sorry they put their hands up for that 1% CD. Right? But they're not alone, right? Because the other people were just a little sharper and they held their hand down because they didn't know I was going to point them, yeah? Because I know, I'll guarantee you there's more than one person here with a CD is making less than 1%. Okay? That's why they'll do it, right? Because think about this. There's so many people out there that have been on 5-year CDs that were paying 5 and 6% back in, you know, 2005 and 6. Those are now coming due. What can they get? Their income or their cash flow is getting cut by, you know, 2/3 by the interest rates that are out there. And I don't know how much longer they're going to stay like that. That's why they'll go ahead and do this stuff. And if you've got something secure to back it into, that's what they'll be looking at. So that's some of those examples there. These are some of the accounts we're talking about, right? And the reason they're here is because people say to me, well, I only have $20,000 in my, you know, Roth IRA. I go, okay. You know, I said, well, do you have any other IRAs? Well, yeah, but you can't do self-directed with anything else but a Roth, right? Can you?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can. But people say, well, you're always talking about Roths. And I say, well, that's my fault. I love them, right? I can't help them. I think they're great, great tools. And all of these things can be self-directed, every single one of these. Can you put your Roth up on a piece of property and put your traditional there? And can your traditional buy 70% of it and your Roth buy 30? You bet. Can your kids' educational savings account over here, right there, can they partner in with those deals? You know, and if you've got a young kid or a young granddaughter or grandson, I got 2 granddaughters now, right? They can get into those, right? Health savings accounts, those are great. Right? You guys should pay attention. So all of these deals can be put together if you don't have enough money. And you can put other kids' stuff in, you know, other IRAs that are in there. Right? These are the same things. If you have these accounts, you can have them for yourself over here individually, and you can have them for your businesses. So you can have more than one of these. Have as many as you can and you can afford. Right? And you have money to put into them. Again, these are the tax deferred, these are the tax free. Health savings accounts, those are a special animal all themselves. You can have those deals, the money goes in tax deductible and comes out tax free if you're using it for health care. So pay attention to that. Yes, sir?
What about TSPs, trust savings plans?
Yep, you can. Thrift savings plans, yes, but you can't self-direct them. You can turn them into these after you get out of your job. Otherwise, you're pretty much stuck.
Are you
Yep.
saying the health savings account you can self-direct it to real estate?
Yes. Yep, that's exactly what I'm saying. You don't have to put them in those prudential accounts that are making 0.3% back there with the CD guys. I'm only having fun with you guys. Yes, sir.
Were 3Bs the same thing?
403Bs, yeah, you can actually switch those. Is it an old one, or are you still doing it?
Still doing it.
You're going to probably have a little bit of a problem until you quit, but you can always ask. See if they do. Because a lot of times they're changing custodians and things like that. You a teacher or a nurse or medical? No? Small company or... if it's a small company, a lot of times they'll let you even work on them and direct them.
But it's church.
Say it again?
It's a church.
It's a church? Yeah. Think about it and see if they haven't. If you need help, talk to me afterwards and we can show you how you can possibly do that if it's a small church. And do you have any influence on the board? No? Okay. But, you know, talk to me and we'll see how hard it is to do.
The 401Ks, which ones, are only some of them available?
Well, solo 401Ks we do, but all of them are capable of doing self-direction. It just depends whether or not your plans are. Most of what big companies do is they take the liability and they push it off to Fidelity or Vanguard or Merrill Lynch, and they say, we want you to run our 401K. The CEO and the COO are most of the time the trustees of that plan still, and what they've done is pushed it down to the individuals. You pick what you have, and you're going to pick whatever Fidelity has. But you can ask them to say, hey, give me an option to self-direct. Okay? If you have a solo, if you have your own business or your own LLC, you can get your own plan and do 401K. 401Ks are a little bit better, in my opinion, because you can put more into them.
We spoke about this a little bit last night, about if you have a Roth and you have a traditional, rolling the traditional over to the Roth.
Uh-huh.
Is there a limit per year on that, or can that just like, we have 75, 80, something like that in the traditional that hasn't been contributed to in years.
Uh-huh.
Can I just go whoop and move it over to the Roth?
Yeah, or you can go whoop. Yes, you can. You can convert as much as you want or as little as you want.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. You can do that every year. And what Linda's talking about is how many people, I don't want to get you to do that, but a lot of accountants have told people they make too much money to contribute to a Roth. And in theory, they're right, okay? But in our government's infamous wisdom, and I mean, I love this country too. I mean, I think it's great what we're allowed to do, but they do make some stupid things. In 2006, they changed the law that in 2010, people that made over $100,000 could convert, because if you made over $100,000 before that, you couldn't convert from a traditional to a Roth because it was too good, and the rich people that make over $100,000, you know, would be, you know, just getting richer, and the poor, you know, and that would somehow make the poor people poorer. You know, I don't, you know, I can't understand. I'm a little bit of a simple mind. But they got rid of that rule in 2010. And they were supposedly going to just leave it for 2010 and change it back in 2011. But they didn't pass the budget. They didn't do anything, I guess, except pass health care. And they never cut this off. So even though you can't contribute to a Roth, right, you can put money in a traditional and 2 seconds later convert it to a Roth, no matter how much money you make. Now, is it more paperwork? Yes. But you can do it. Okay. You guys, how many people have seen this before? This is how you do a self-directed IRA. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. You open up an account, you put money in it, you find out what you want to buy, you fill out the paperwork to do it, you do all your due diligence, you read it, you sign it, you tell us to send the money. Next thing you know is now you've got an asset in your IRA different than what you're used to. You're used to a mutual fund or a CD or a stock. Now you have a single-family house, or you have a limited partnership shares. Okay, that must be the end of it. All right. Any other questions?
What form of I-bank did you say? Is to tell the accountant?
Publication 590. Yep. Publication 590 if he has it for the disqualified, and also for that Roth conversion. Okay, that you're talking about.
Or do you do that?
What?
The Roth conversion?
Oh, we'll convert it, but just, you know, get them to verify that you can do it, you know, and just, you know, tell them that this is what it is, and why, you know, ask them why you can't. Okay? Yes, sir.
Don't you have to pay the taxes on the
Yeah.
Roll over.
Oh yeah, you got to pay your taxes sooner or later. But the question is, you know, and this is that's a great question. Where do you want to be? Are your taxes going to be less in the future or more? Right? If you have a Roth, you've got more capability, right? Because now you can say, you know, I could have paid my taxes back in 2011 at 35%. Now I'm at 55%. But if you have a Roth and a traditional, you can say, I need $100,000 a year to live on. I'm going to take $50,000 out of my traditional because I can't pay over 35%, and then I'll pay 35% on that $50,000, and the other, you know, now $60,000 that I need to pay or whatever, I'll pull out of my Roth because that's real money and all of it's going right into my pocket. So I'll take a little bit more out of my Roth. So you have a lot more capability if you have a Roth. But, you know, let's say the taxes go down to 20%. You know, let's say Obama becomes a genius and everything clears up and what? Well, I mean, seriously, I mean, you know, maybe something will happen in the next year and a half and taxes will go down. You know, I mean, I don't understand what they're doing, but, you know, they got a lot of smart guys there. But let's say taxes or a lot of credentials behind them. But the taxes go down to 20%, right? Then you're going to say, man, I paid 35% to put this in the Roth. Well, don't take it out because it's still making money, right? Take it all out of your traditional because you're at the 20% bracket. You know, so I mean that's the capability that you have if you have both of them. Any other questions? Thank you very much for your time, and Chad, if you.